Welcome to Bannockburn Conservation Area. We promise you'll get some exercise, fill your lungs with fresh air, learn about nature, and escape from the stress of everyday life. The Ausable Bayfield Conservation Authority, the ABCA, purchased this property in 1973 to protect the Bannockburn River Valley. This is also a demonstration area. Over the years, many projects have been done to protect and improve water quality, control erosion, and increase wildlife habitat. These are all things that people can do on their own property to conserve the environment. Your visit begins at the parking lot on Bannockburn Line. Several ecosystems await you, and each has its own identity. These natural communities change throughout the years, so we encourage you to visit often. Allow an hour to leisurely walk along the trail, and about 40 minutes if you take the shortcut from the old field community. One main trail enters the property at the boardwalk. We ask you to stay on the trail. The paths were created to lead you through the property, but are also here to protect the ecosystem. This area is home to countless insects, amphibians, birds, mammals, fish, trees, shrubs, ferns, and wildflowers. Today, you are a guest in their home. This also means your pets should be on leashes to protect the wildlife. Do not damage any living creature, but feel free to take lots of photos. Today you'll log about 2,300 steps on your pedometer. The property is only 25 hectares in size, but the trails have lots of twists and turns and hills. Please be aware of your whereabouts. And now you're ready to begin your adventure at Bannockburn. Please proceed along the boardwalk to the first sign. Welcome to the start of the Bannockburn Conservation Area Trail. The Friends of the Bayfield River initiated this project in honor of the ABCA's 60th anniversary in 2006. As you can see by the sign, several partners helped fund this self-guided tour. Take a look at the map to familiarize yourself with the area. There are a number of points of interest along the trail. After crossing the Bannockburn River and walking up a set of stairs, most people turn left at the first trail intersection and make right-hand turns at the rest of the trail intersections. This guide is arranged accordingly. This wet meadow changes each year as the trees and shrubs start to invade the grasses, goldenrods, and asters. The process of a plant community changing to a forest is called succession. The early hardy pioneer species created a sheltered habitat for larger plants such as shrubs and trees. About every 10 years, the ABCA cuts an opening in the shrubs and trees to maintain the meadow habitat that's seldom found in this part of Huron County. When the area is opened, it's excellent habitat for birds such as ruffed grouse and American woodcock. Be sure to visit in early May to see the woodcock do his impressive mating display. White cedars are the dominant evergreen trees in this meadow. The ABCA planted high-bush cranberry shrubs in this meadow to provide late winter food for birds. The berries are quite sour when they ripen, but just like ice wine, the process of freezing and thawing sweetens the berries. Birds will first eat the sweeter berries such as dogwood and leave the cranberries until late winter or early spring. Because this area has poor drainage, all the plants that live here tolerate wet feet. The boardwalk has been installed to protect the meadow from human feet. The Tuesday Trompers hiking group, part of the Maitland Trail Association, has installed the shingle strips to help prevent slips and falls on the boardwalk. Please consider donating any leftover new shingles to the ABCA or Maitland Trail Association to install on these boardwalks. Please proceed along the boardwalk to Walden Creek at the Iron Bridge. You've reached Walden Creek just before the Bannockburn River. This small watercourse is seasonally dry, but is an important trout stream further upstream. It meets the Bannockburn River downstream of the bridge. Walden Creek and the Bannockburn River have extreme fluctuations in flow. Due to the limited tree cover and extensive land drainage in headwater regions, flow rates vary from an almost imperceptible trickle during the summer months to flood levels during spring runoff or following heavy rains. Follow this bridge a few meters to the Bannockburn River. The Bannockburn River begins near Staffa in Perth County. You'll also see it at Highway 4 at Kippen. The river runs through woodlots and farms until it reaches the Bayfield River just downstream of this property. The ABCA purchased this property in 1973 to protect and improve water quality in the Bayfield River. Upstream of the Bannockburn Conservation Area, the river is completely owned by private landowners. We need to thank the many landowners who have planted trees and shrubs along the river or maintained the natural floodplains and woodlots. Because of their efforts and the cobble bottom, the river's quality is good and supports a diverse variety of aquatic species: backswimmers, crayfish, and larger fish such as rainbow trout, pike, smallmouth bass, and migratory salmon. Look for belted kingfishers that swoop down to catch fish. They're crested, blue-colored birds the size of a blue jay and were featured on Canadian $5 bills. The river uses the wide floodplain during the spring and after heavy rains. In fact, the water rose to the bottom of the bridge in the fall of 1986, just after it was built. In Ontario, regulations are in place to prevent building development in floodplains in order to protect lives and reduce property damage from flooding. The ABCA and 35 other conservation authorities in Ontario administer this provincial regulation along watercourses, wetlands, and steep slopes. Clean water is essential for people as well as birds and animals. Planting trees and shrubs along rivers and lakes is an easy way to protect water quality. Vegetation filters out pollutants and cools the water by providing shade. Please proceed to the end of the boardwalk. The rolling topography of the property is a product of Wisconsin glaciation. Glacial meltwater formed the valley through which the Bannockburn River flows. This valley and a number of small side valleys carve through the boulder clay, sand, and gravel in the Wyoming moraine. Several small streams flow into the Bannockburn River. Good water quality in the headwater streams is important to the health of the Bannockburn. There's always someone downstream, and it all flows to Lake Huron. The water that flows through this property will enter Lake Huron at Bayfield. Get ready for your first climb of the day by walking to the foot of the stairs. Look at the eroding creek banks as you climb the stairs. The force of water naturally erodes soil and carries it downstream. Nature always tries to level the landscape by eroding high points and filling in valleys. At the eroded creek bank beside the stairs, you'll see tree roots and other vegetation play an important role in holding soil. At the top of the stairs, turn left into the deciduous forest to follow the rest of this commentary. Walk for about a minute until you reach Station 6 near a natural spring. Listen carefully and you'll hear the sound of water at this natural spring. Springs are created when groundwater naturally flows to the surface. Usually, spring water discharges occur or increase when rain or snowmelt has recharged the groundwater system in upland areas. This spring water makes its way to the Bannockburn River at the bottom of the hill. This area has the three components critical to wildlife: food, water, and shelter. The different levels of a forest provide different habitats for different types of wildlife. The earth beneath your feet is alive with all sorts of soil dwellers that convert the leaves into soil. Squirrels play an important role in forest health by burying nuts that will sprout into seedlings. Enjoy your walk through this Cathedral Forest along the trail up the hill. You'll need to be watching the treetops and the forest to see all the interesting things along this trail. Watch for red squirrels and chipmunks. Pause this commentary for a few minutes to listen to the birds. Don't take offense if the blue jays scold you for invading their neighborhood. They're an early warning system for other birds. You'll learn more about this wonderful forest when you restart the commentary. This is called a climax forest because it is the final stage in succession in this type of ecosystem. Sugar maple and American beech trees are the predominant tree species. The young saplings can tolerate growing in shade and eventually grow taller and shade out the competing trees. Sugar maples are found on our Canadian flag and turn a beautiful red color in autumn. They're also the source of liquid gold, maple syrup. Beech trees have smooth gray bark. Don't be the one to carve your initials in the bark. This damages the tree's skin and allows diseases and pests to enter. Hop hornbeam, also known as ironwood, is another interesting tree on the right-hand side of this trail. Look for pale brown bark in vertical strips. The tree blooms in July with flowers that resemble hops. The tree grows slowly, and as the name suggests, the wood is extremely hard and dulls saw blades quickly. This forest has a large population of bitternut hickory, a strong, straight wood. Unfortunately, it's dying because of an infestation of hickory bark beetle, which attacks the inside of the tree. This is devastating hickory trees in Middlesex, Huron, and Perth counties. For safety reasons, the ABCA must cut down the dead hickory along the trails. Dead trees away from the trails are left to fall naturally, as they're part of the forest life cycle. Woodpecker populations are thriving as they consume insects within the trees. Downy and hairy woodpeckers are the most common woodpeckers at Bannockburn. Pileated woodpeckers are much larger in size and need large tracts of forest for their habitat. Wildflowers blanket the forest floor. Check for trilliums, wild ginger, doll's eye, Solomon seal, May apple, and jack-in-the-pulpit. The fallen branches and piles of brush create homes for small animals, birds, and insects. Forests also play an important role in water conservation. Notice how the snow melts in the woodlots long after it has disappeared from the fields. The water slowly makes its way into the soil and can be released throughout the summer to rivers or can recharge the groundwater. Please proceed along the trail until you start to go back down a hill. You'll notice a change in the forest as you make your way down into the forest valley. Black cherry and apple trees are dominant instead of maple and beech. The multiple trunks on some of the cherry trees indicate the area has been grazed by cattle or logged. Wildflowers are scarce. Black cherry tree bark resembles burned cornflakes. Check for deer tracks along the trail. Common birds include robins, orioles, chickadees, blue jays, cardinals, and woodpeckers. The tiny creek flows to the Bannockburn River. Follow this path until you reach the sunlight. Our commentary starts again at the trail intersection. Congratulations on reaching the halfway point of the main trail. You've already walked well over 1,000 paces. At the trail intersection, you can decide if you'd like to see the entire conservation area or take a shortcut back to the parking lot. To visit the pine plantation and marsh, you'll turn left and then make a quick right. The trail to the right is the shortcut to the parking lot and will reduce your hiking time by about 20 minutes. When you reach the forest at the next trail intersection, turn right. After you cross a small bridge at the top of the hill, you can go down the stairs to the boardwalk and make your way past the Bannockburn River to the parking lot. The canopy has opened up and you've reached the sunlight. Without the protection of the forest, this area is hotter in the summer and colder in the winter. Cattle graze this old field until the ABCA purchased this property. Left to grow naturally, the pioneer species of asters and goldenrod will be taken over by hawthorn trees. Considered a weed by many, hawthorns are used by many birds for food and shelter. The pointy thorns protect the nests from predators. The fruit, known as haw apples, is nutritious. The ABCA wanted to provide food and shelter quickly by planting the highbush cranberries and autumn olive. The rest of this commentary is for people continuing along the main trail, through the pine forest and marsh. Just before you head down the hill to the evergreen plantations, see if you can detect the patterns in the plantations. They were planted in blocks to maximize the amount of edge around the new forest. These edges provide the best food and shelter for wildlife. Over the years, the blocks of plantations have grown together. Please proceed down the hill to the conifer trees. Pine trees were planted here to speed up the conversion of the old field to a forest community. Eventually, these coniferous trees will be removed and a deciduous forest will develop. As the trees are gradually removed, the forest floor is open to sunlight and seeds carried by wind and birds receive the sunlight needed to sprout. Conifers such as pine, spruce, and cedar can tolerate the harsh conditions of an open field and are the nurse crops for deciduous trees like maple, ash, beech, oak, and cherry. White pines have 5 needles in a bundle, and red pines have 2 needles per bundle. Please make your way to the boardwalk in the marsh. Marshes are saturated by surface or near-surface waters for periods long enough to promote bulrushes and reeds. They act as nature's sponge by soaking up water in springtime or during floods and releasing it slowly throughout the year. Watch for wrens and red-winged blackbirds in the marsh. Please proceed along the boardwalk through the cedar trees to a small boardwalk over a clear stream. Marshes are also nature's kidneys. Water slows down as it flows into a marsh. As it spreads across the marshy area, the sediment and impurities drop out of the water solution and are absorbed by the plants. The water is much cleaner when it eventually reaches the end of the marsh. In a watershed, a marsh performs the same function as a kidney does in your body. Notice how clear and clean the water is compared to when it entered the marsh. Today, wetlands such as this marsh are a scarce resource in southern Ontario. Fortunately, towns, cities, and farmers are realizing the critical role of nature's kidneys and are establishing artificial wetlands to filter runoff before it reaches rivers and lakes. Please proceed along the trail until you reach a shady grove of hemlocks, cedars, and ferns. The hemlock, cedar, and ferns form a peaceful ecosystem on the side of this steep hill. Graceful and green, ferns embody a charm that is almost universal. Species include Christmas fern, delicate fern moss, hay-scented fern, and maidenhair fern. Ferns are one of the oldest living organisms on the face of the earth. From here you can make your way back to the parking lot. We hope you've enjoyed your time at Bannockburn Conservation Area. If you've enjoyed your visit and would like to help protect the property, please make a donation at the box near the parking lot. You can contact the ABCA with any questions about what you've seen here, or if you'd like to do some similar environmental projects on your property.